I think AIDF summit is a very good summit. It has brought all different stakeholders across the governments, the UN agencies, the private sector and NGOs into one platform to discuss the frontier developments in addressing disaster risk reduction and also other sustainable development agenda. And going forward, the United Nations will come with the sustainable development goals. And what we have discussing in the meeting AIDF has organized is how especially the Asia Pacific region and Southeast Asia, and especially how we can prepare for achieving sustainable development goals that the United Nations will be bringing in September.
It's a very interesting forum where you bring academia, the government people, private sector, international organizations, the development community all together to have a dialogue, present different perspectives, because when different perspectives come together, everybody learns and everybody improves. So I think it's a great platform.
The AIDF Summit, the one thing that struck me more than anything else is that this is a platform, this is a forum for practitioners to come together and exchange their information. Just as much as the seminars and the discussions in the formal setting as well, was the observation about people meeting during breaks, exchanging cards, and I seldom seen this degree of interaction among the participants, which will serve them well because different people in different countries, different parts of the region are working on similar and related areas, and exchange of that dollar for dollar could be one of the greatest investments. So in that sense, I'm very heartened by the emerging success of this event.
The AIDF Summit has been really great for me personally. My background is in communication with communities, and it's what I'm working on at the moment with the ETC. So to see across all of the presentations, there's really been a theme of involving communities more in humanitarian response, so that's been really nice to see. I think the other thing with the AIDF forum is just that it brings in such a diversity of actors. So yesterday we were looking at presentations from a very small NGO in India right up to very big private sector agencies. And I think it's really good that we're all here for 3 days to be able to network and leverage each other's expertise, particularly looking at private and public partnerships and looking at the way that NGOs and the humanitarian community can really work better with the private sector, because it's where everything's going, and I think that there's a lot that we can do in that space.
You know, it's interesting. I read a book recently, I believe it was Stephen Johnson. He wrote a book called Where Good Ideas Come From. And in it, he talks about the adjacent possible. And the whole concept behind this is no one by themselves comes up with a good idea. They bounce it off other people who have different perspectives. And in a place like AIDF, you've got all of these humanitarians from all different backgrounds and from different regions. And by sharing the ideas that we have with SkyLIFE, we come up with new ideas for new payloads, new ways to integrate this into assessment teams, in a different way of approaching the whole humanitarian problem from a different aspect. That's what AIDF does for us.
I think the AIDF Summit is very interesting. It's my first time here. We only recently relocated the e-Centre from Japan because we're very strongly supported by the government of Japan as well as the government of Australia. So we've just moved to the regional office in Bangkok, and it's my first time at the summit. It's very interesting to meet so many different people from different walks of life and who have very different experiences to share. So it's a great way to learn more.
The AIDF Summit has been so far fantastic. It's obviously being held in a superb environment. The UNCC is a superb location with all the facilities that AIDF obviously requires. It's ideally located for all of the UN staff and the associated NGOs and readily easily accessible for them. For us as a company, we have met lots of influential key people within the market sector that we work. So in summary, yes, it's been fantastic.
AIDF Summit has been going very well. We really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Gabrielle Iglesias, one of my colleagues, spoke earlier today. She had a very good presentation that had a lot of good feedback about ICT, severe Mekong, and social media and disaster risk management. The conference in itself is a really good spread of disaster risk management, disaster response, and then even some things that personally I don't know too much about on the first day, like mobile money transfers, something that I haven't thought about. So it was very refreshing to hear about some of these new concepts, and there's a lot of great presentations, and we're very happy to be a part of it.
Well, it's quite interesting. We had a panel this afternoon on populations at risk and the ways in which a humanitarian response must look carefully at populations at risk and ensure their inclusion in the defining of the humanitarian response, but also in recovery and generally in the preparedness cycle. So it's, I think, very useful and interesting conference.